Beautiful. Yeah, I've got a very small bar on my computer, so there is a chance that it'll drop. Um,
Okay.
I looked at my charger this morning and what did I? And I was like, no, my computer will have charge. It'll be fine.
Okay. I actually realized I didn't mention the healing of.
Yeah, I've got a very small bar on
So
my computer, so there. So hello, JOH, it's Misha Naomi of Dream Waters Wellnesses, and this is the second half of the live stream with Rachel. So if you got the first half, or if you didn't, we're continuing on from here. So I'm Naomi, and we'll just pass this over to Rachel. I just asked her how was the calling to come into Yonah Colibri, the initiation container that she came through with Dream Waters Wellness in 2023 to 20. So
yeah.
hand it over to you, Rachel, if you.
Thank you. I think for me, it's something very different to what I've said yes to and experienced. Like I mentioned before, I've actually gone to many Tony Robbins events and done quite a bit of healing, and that's definitely more in the masculine energy. And so this being more shamanic and being, well, for me, it just turned out to be a really beautiful exploration into moving from masculine into my feminine. So it it was just like okay, why not? Let's just see. And it, like I mentioned before, it was just so much more than what I thought it would be. And it just taught me, I just learned a lot more about my ancestors and the collective, and just really how you also weave your magic and your knowledge really sort of opened my eyes to just this probably more practical spirituality, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I would say practical spirituality because we had codes, we had a meditation, but then because of the techniques that I teach about like removals and like clearing,
Yes, yeah.
just directly impact quickly changes. Is that what you're speaking to? More the shamanic removal kind
Yes,
of side of things that becomes pretty practical though. I think.
it does, definitely. No, absolutely. And knowing to, for me, with my healing journey, and I didn't mention this before, and I guess I haven't really sort of mentioned, not many people, I don't really mention this publicly, but, I've been healing from a sexual abuse from as a young child. So it's, yeah, and part of that is that it's generational, right? So I understand that it's generational too. And for me, the biggest catalyst for me to heal was that it stops with me. And it stops with me being a mother of a daughter and also a son, and also wanting to be a stand for no when it comes to the patriarchal acceptance of those experiences from the past. And this experience really helped me ground back into my body and being safe in my body to then feel what I needed to feel and heal and really understand from a shamanic perspective how to do that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And so you, throughout your year and a day process, you came across pranic healing and you dove right deep into pranic healing. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this pranic coaching mix hybrid that's coming about in this red chord process that you're exploring?
It's quite beautiful actually, because as I mentioned before, I studied as a consciousness coach, and I developed this really beautiful technique where I intuitively know where the experience from this incarnation occurred, where we create stories and patterns within our life, and I can, I guess the clients I've worked with, we've been able to heal that, and then through, Master Co is a master in pranic healing. So in meditation, Twin Hearts, really, that meditation, doing that every single day has a healing effect. So understanding that, and the core of pranic healing is Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, which is in another past incarnation I've been there. So it just really resonates for me. So pranic healing, what I love about pranic healing is it was developed by Master Cho Kok Sui, and he was an engineer, so it's quite science-based. So it's very practical. There's a protocol pretty much for every single ailment. And then there's protocols as well for emotional emotions that we feel. And for me, I loved the process of it in terms of it's really easy to follow. But the big piece for me is the embodiment of the spiritual teachings, which is Buddhism. So it's an embodiment of Buddhism, and with that comes, service to heal.
Yeah, a
philosophy.
Right. And like
it's a philosophy,
the lifestyle with Buddhism is that it's
completely.
It's for feeling completely satisfied with all of your experiences and just this all of your needs met at once. It's a
completely.
very beautiful philosophy of that compassion, of the generosity, of knowing that we have dharma, we have work to do.
Yes. And this is my dharma.
Means that you are giving, that you are generous, that you are kind, that and then sometimes there is challenging moments where it doesn't seem like quite, why am I doing this? But it's because it's like, this is a big favor, and we've requested of your dharma because you have the capacity and the strength to do this. And I deeply resonate as well with the Buddhist and the Tibetan traditions. So
it's beautiful. And so for me, it's about now stepping into my soul purpose. And what I'm experiencing is these beautiful sessions, which are a hybrid of both, a hybrid of coaching, getting to the core root of why, getting to the core root of the ailment, which underneath that sits the emotion. So, and then using the pranic healing protocol to relieve the ailments. And what I'm experiencing is the first session is about the reducing the impact of the ailment on the body, because with pranic healing, it's all through our chakras and our aura. So then it allows fresh prana into our bodies, because our bodies are amazing. They heal themselves. So it's really just to be a support mechanism for the body to heal. And then we get to the root cause of why. And then the next session is a emotional psychotherapy session where I'm able to go into the different chakras, and we have thought forms, we have thought elementals, we have the emotions, and we literally remove those from the chakras and repair the chakra to be balanced and operate at its highest potential. So it's a hybrid of both. And I'm experiencing the people that I'm able to serve are just having a holistic healing experience with all elements.
And this is one of the things that's really foundational in Dreamwater's wellness philosophy, is that we are navigators. And as navigators, as the practitioners, we're helping you to make your own coracle. And your coracle is your solo boat that you navigate your rivers with, your emotional waters. And I also, I've been noticing this is where, being around craft circles and witches and different shamans and lots of people have very kind of separate spaces for what is psychological and then what is a magical. And I find with myself though that I'm similar to you, where it's all of this actually supports each other. And my Jungian psychology, my coaching, these different things that are practical based, fold into these sessions, and I call it mixed medical. And when you okay, I've got a number of things here, but then also the Maori, they call it the wanana, the kappa, having a tea and a yarn beforehand. But that's the same as in dream alignment, where you're putting everything in the pot. Or if you were doing more conscious, psychological, okay, let's identify, and I just love how we learn all these things, and then they become just like breathing, and we forget that we and then we learn another thing, and the next thing you know, it's all starts to just mold into this beautiful uniqueness that is our red cord and is our personal offering in this incarnation. And it's
completely. And for me as well, my father passed away, I think I mentioned before. So I really understand the depth of grief, and I'm not afraid of grief because it's an expression of love.
Yeah.
And what I've identified, which I'll be introducing into my sessions, is in our world, we talk about how do we handle the grief, but we actually have an inner child within us. And when one of our parents passes away, that inner child needs support for the grief.
Big
So
time.
I've been going through a process of supporting my inner child through my own grief. And that's been just amazing and remarkable that by doing that, I'll be offering that as a service as well, because that's all of us, right? Our inner child as well. And no one thinks about or considers what that inner child of us needs when one of our parents passes.
Yeah. It's just
You know,
that
it's
they're old. They're gonna go someday, and we move on, and it's not really a spoken about space. But I have helped
no, it's not.
4 people that have lost parentals, and the depth of the hole, because we have an energetic cord from our sacral chakra to our parents, and that's like big and chunky because they're just funneling our life force into us. And then as we're old, it's still there though. And so I've often thought about
Wow.
how that must feel when that cord that has always been there, that literally was the reason you even came, all of a sudden isn't that energy isn't there anymore. And then, yeah, we teach what we need to learn so we can better learn it ourselves. And as we integrate and ground
Completely.
experiences, and then using our tools and using healers need healers, and combining all of these things, then we come to this really unique grounded essence of what is this medicine, like this purple, this life trauma, and now it's been transmuted into its passion and its perseverance, and so it's
Completely.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's such a wild ride. Like grief used to have in throughout Europe, we used to have keeners, and we used to have people that like Ireland, England. It was all banned in the early 1900s, but we used to wail, and we used to have people that showed up that nowadays would be called a hypersensitive or an empath, and these people showed up and start emoting. And they would make so much noise and so much emoting coming out of them that it would make this ambient grief noise. And then people could just fall apart and grieve. And it's part of sacred practice to go to their gravesite and keen and wail and weep.
Beautiful.
And we had that outlawed. We were not allowed. And then there's even little nicky, like little rhymes that were made to make fun of the people that keen still and that hung around the graveyards keening. And so there's a deep hole in our current culture for these practices and processes when we go
Completely.
through death too, because this energetic cord is gone. There's a complete ego death because there's that identity is now changed.
Yes.
Is completely
Absolutely.
And so I think such valuable work to be bringing forward, and it's the best resource to bring it from is when we've processed it, we are able to walk through it, and we found these techniques and ways to support our inner child or whatever we discover comes about at these times. And often we do find that collectively we do have these common ways we grieve, these common ways we're not being nurtured, and we're missing out just because as a culture we don't have this spiritual attendance to these ways anymore. But they're awakening
Completely.
one step at a time and one session at a time.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And grief is it's nothing to be, there's a stigma of it being, oh my God, I'm going to feel grief, right? But our emotions are our essence, and when we're vulnerable, that's when we are actually truly embodied as ourselves. And grief is it is the most beautiful expression of love. For me, it made me realize the depth of my love.
Definitely.
And being in this beautiful relationship with Angel and my children and the rest of my family, it's opened me up more to be more of that, as opposed to, in grief, we close up, we put the guard up, we protect ourselves and I did that. I was like, I don't want to feel this again. Yet the more we unpack it and we unfold that and we really realize it and it's an opportunity to expand and love more, then our world just literally cracks open.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's such a wild gamut because I find with sadness, with these emotions we can't control, often first comes anger, and that's because it's an emotion. We have this flood coming, but the anger we can do something about it. We can intimidate people, we can control the space, we can do something with all these feelings. But if we settle back and we come into the receptivity of just holding that little child who's weeping, and the space to just cry and let them know and just allow yourself to grieve, it actually passes a lot faster.
It does.
Then if you keep stifling it and sucking the tears back up and,
Yes.
5 minutes feel like forever and so uncomfortable. That surrender into the fact that I'm scared, I'm sad, there's fear, there's things coming. And instead just, holding yourself through that, allowing and loving all those feelings, they dissipate much quicker. And I find you find your way back to dry land faster than if you keep fighting the waves every time they come and you're like, no, 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 no. And it's such a beautiful process, though, because everybody has their different ways, their different rituals that they need things to be done. And last night we were speaking about it, a group of us, and we were talking about different types of Buddhism, different practices, meditation. What is meditation? Because lots of people do no mind. And then I was explaining like Vajrayana yoga, which is Tibetan yoga, or Tibetan Buddhism, is a yoga of visualizations and of deep journeying. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. This makes sense to me with the work I do. Because the no mind, I'm like, no, that's not the point. And so we were discussing this last night, speaking about the different Buddhism. So what was the point here? Oh, I just derailed. Speaking about Vajrayana yoga, we were speaking about Buddhism. Oh, we just lost it. I'm not sure.
Okay. And if I can, while you think about what that is, it's interesting too, because we talk about our Dharma and the Buddhism tradition of meditation and mindfulness, because I've done 2 silent retreats and it was Dharma teachings, was, I had this perception that mindfulness was no thoughts. Now that's possible for the gurus and the yogis that sit in a cave and do that all the time, but the mindfulness is the ability, like you were talking about with the meditation, to see the thoughts as a cloud or a thought form and not attach to it. And so it can be that simple, right?
Yeah, and like allowing it to be there for a moment. It's not judgment and push it away. It's like you are allowed to observe it but as long as you just keep it going. It's not this like has to be blank. But that's what I remember now. So what came up was the explanation that with Trativaka, anyways, the Tibetan or the Thai Buddhism, which is like the purest ancient form of Buddhism, right, currently, and it starts with T. But they noticed that when they opened up the monastery that the Eastern psyche could sit and be in a presence and no mind. But when Westerners came in, they weren't comfortable with that. So they made a separate monastery for Westerners that has more chore relation to it. Because the Western mind needed more activity, more occupation, and more movement. And so that was really interesting with because when you're saying I'm mixing the pranic healing with the coaching, the psychological coaching. And for me, that really reminds me of what the Western mind needs sometimes is a little work, some more chores to really be able to accept the beauty and the miracles that come through the meditation and the energetic. And this is why I collect, I have 5 or 6 primary modalities I do, which are
beautiful.
Past life redemption that takes quite a bit of time, but we get every detail. We know every pattern, every why, all the way to just straight up dream alignment, where we lay you back, you go into hypnosis, you hear a few things here and there, and we just put the codes in and clear you in the same way. But some need that full story. They need the unpacking. And other people don't. They just need to sit back, give me my healing, and then I'm done. So it's beautiful the way that you're weaving, these two different rituals. This is our Western ritual, and then this is our Eastern ritual. Also with a masculine, which is lovely because you like your order. But then you drop in with this structure, and then you let the flow of the feminine come around in the container, guide me to the coaching aspects and things like
Yes.
that. So, super cool. So are you offering your services at this time for people if they're interested in person,
Yes.
online, or anything? How do they get in contact with Rachel for a
The best way to get in contact with me is, well, my business is called Abundantly You. And I'm actually this week launching a brand new website. So you can find me online on social media. And yeah, you just literally just direct message me. And with the website being updated, you can actually book a session. So I do face-to-face and online. I do have clients internationally, and then I'm here in Melbourne, Australia as well. But what I'm loving is that each session is just so beautifully unique, and I love that. And then it's the unfolding of a client sort of being more empowered. And for me, that's what, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, that was, I just feel so blessed to actually be able to support that, and share a little bit of wisdom along the way as well. So yeah, it's beautiful.
So www.abundantlyu.com.au.
abundantlyu.com.au.
Beautiful. So when you get that updated, we'll make sure to grab that and drop that in the comments for
Perfect.
everybody, so that they can easily do it. So if you loved what you heard today and feeling this energy off of our wonderful Rachel and are curious about jumping in, seeing what there is to tune up and explore, then check out her website, abundantlyu.com.au. And so thank you very much, Rachel, for this beautiful chat coming on. And I look forward to hearing many more exciting adventures and beautiful synchronicities unfolding as you truly state what it is for this chapter of your incarnation.
No, thank you. Yeah, and I'm just so appreciative of everything you've shared along the way. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. It's been
It is, definitely.
Thank you very much. Let's see what we can do. Oh, we're still going to be on YouTube for half a second going, oh.